And we're back once again, as rightly said. Welcome to Breakfast Central on day 2. That's Tuesday here on News Central Television. It feels good to be back on the air. Most importantly, it feels good to follow through with the breaking stories. Yesterday, we did hear of a roller coaster of different news breaking from River State, southern part of Nigeria. Don't forget the northern part was also heating up. And when you come down to the west, it was all about the NYC student who spoke, the minds of Nigerians, kind of like putting fuel into fire, and everybody started talking. But I'm not alone. I've got the delectable Olive Emodi in the house. Was good.
Absolutely excited to be here. River State has proven itself to be the onion of Nigeria with different layers and different stories. So every day we are unraveling a new update, the latest update, with the possibility of an impeachment, a conversation we're going to explore in depth this morning. I am Olive Emodi.
Welcome to Breakfast Central, your perfect start to a day where we bring you the latest news, insightful discussions, and everything in between. I am Benga Aboro. Quite a lot happening in the country, and I'm wondering, where do we start from? Okay, we're in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital, the Center for Aquatic Splendor. Yes, Jandor, the People's Democratic governorship candidate in the last elections, has ported. I think it's porting season. Politicians are cross-carpeting this period. Most of them are going to the SDP, quite a number of them going to the SDP. Some are joining the ruling party. And guess where Jandor went to? Of course, the ruling party.
Can I just say
he
that
went back home.
Jandor going back reminds me of a certain song that says, Ajole Dabile, no matter what you do, make you no forget home. So he has gone back home. So welcome home.
But the big question is, what is he bringing back home? Does he have a teeming number of supporters? What value is he adding to the APC in Lagos? And the race for 2027 should be quite an interesting one.
Very interesting, guys. Well, don't forget that a few months ago here on Breakfast Central, we did discuss what the possibilities are to pick the next candidate to represent the APC here in Lagos. We know how very strong it is, a hold for the APC in Lagos. They wouldn't want to lose it at all. It's the economic capital. We've seen a state that has indeed generated over 270-something billion naira just recently. So letting that go to another political party would be very dangerous. But then again, for me, guys, this indicates something very big, a caveat. It shows that the PDP could be dead because everyone is starting to jump ship and leave the PDP. Even all those who had left the APC and moved to the PDP are now leaving. So it strikes a chord to what
I don't think it's just about the PDP, I think at the end of the day, PDP and APC have always been seen to be two sides of the same coin. I just think that what this reminds us is the fact that politicians will always pursue their personal interests, and if you're thinking that they're thinking about you, then you are wrong. They're thinking about the quickest way to power.
Like I remember during the previous elections, Dr. Obieze Kwesili, she contested against Atiku and Buhari before she withdrew her candidacy, and she said, the APC and PDP are Siamese twins, and she called the candidacy Butiku, Buhari and Atiku. So there's not really, it's all about interest. I mean, what ideological difference would you say the PDP has that is different from APC?
But and I guess Jandor have the support that he didn't get from the core leaders in PDP. For you to say that a key figure or a key leadership figure in the People's Democratic Party openly campaigned and supported for another party, will he get that same support, or will there be a repeat of the same scenario?
And he's still a member, and you wonder what happens to internal discipline in this party.
Another thing that bothers me is the fact that you wonder, do politicians hold on to ideals? What is the ideal of a political party and a politician? What does it hold on to?
That's the idea.
Exactly, because if one says, just funny enough, just almost 2 years ago, you did have Jandor come to the fore, and he was basically criticizing, lambasting, breaking down while the APC is a corrupt space to go
It's such a short time.
and so, take note of I mean, it's not even up to 2 years. He was doing all of this. And then all of a sudden, he comes forward to say, you know what, the PDP is not supportive. He has to go to where he knows he would get all the support. And that's more reason why he was at the State House last week to meet with the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Aso Rock, where they had a closed-door meeting. And like he said yesterday in the video, he had a few conversations with people, and then he has decided to make his decision. But we might want to listen to what he's got to say here on Wake Up Conversation. So wake up with us and take a listen.
Here before you today with a heavy heart but a clear conscience. We have dedicated ourselves to the ideals of democracy, good governance, and to return to the old progressive Congress APC. Before you are quick to remind me of the reasons upon which we left in the first place, let me respond with a popular Yoruba adage that says, if a woman has not tried two husbands, she probably would not know.
It's giving siren.
Hold on, let's do it again. Olive, it's so good to know that you are moving to the Breakfast Central show.
Wow. It's giving siren.
I was looking for the ambulance or fire truck there. Like, what's going on?
Was that surprising?
I mean, I even said it last week when I was interviewing, I've forgotten his name now, a PDP chieftain that we had on the show, and I said to him, oh, now that Jandor is moving to APC, it was like literally a slip of the tongue, and I said, oh, I take that back, we don't know clearly, but there are speculations that he's moving to the APC. I think, you know, someone who is even visually impaired could see the writings on the wall. Yeah. But again, like I would say, like Jandor, like El Rufai, everybody's pursuing their own personal interest. El Rufai, who sang, you know, you see him singing in clips, he's showing his support and loyalty to the progressive. Exactly, that was the video that was playing in my head. Him dancing Buga with Mr., you know, with the APC leaders, and at the end of the day, that same APC, he's left the APC and gone to the SDP. A reminder to you and me and all of us who are the voting public that politicians will always choose themselves. Politicians will always choose their personal interest. Politicians don't really care about you. So I hope that you can remember that when you go to the polls. Now, politicians are not interested in you. They're more interested in the quickest way to grab power.
Not all politicians, well, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Still looking in Lagos State, Mr. Ushe Talk to Rai, her social media handle, has caused a lot of stir because of her outright criticism of President Bola Tinubu, which called him a terrible president, with all due respect. No, she didn't add all due respect, but she complained about the cost of living and complained about how the average Nigerian is struggling to cope, and as a result, she also did allege that the NYSC was hunting her down and that she shared messages of people alerting her that the NYSC was looking for her. And there were speculations about her being subject to a disciplinary committee. She was asked to resume yesterday at 10 a.m. at the local government office. And then we saw that there was an entourage who went with her. Omoyele Sowore.
High-powered delegation.
Exactly. A high-powered delegation of lawyers went with Rita. We could see Sowore, Festus Ogun, a number of other lawyers went there with her. And reports have it that they met no one on arrival. There was disappearance on arrival.
What? Wait, hold on. They went there with her. What happened to the lady who called her?
Nowhere to be found.
What happened to everybody who...
I guess they got notice. And I believe the lady who called her was just acting. There was no official communication from NYSC headquarters. She was just being overzealous and felt like, how dare you? Who gave you the temerity?
Do you know who you're talking to?
You know, do you know who you're talking to and things like that? And by the time they made her famous, she decided to, you know, stay back at home and, you know, let this things die down.
I think what would have been great to be for the NYSC to have spoken to say that a woman did not speak on behalf of the NYSC. But when you don't, you debunk statements like that, especially because the NYSC is not a private entity. It's not one man's business where you can decide to do whatever it is you want to do. You know, this is the lives of young Nigerians who have been entrusted to your care. This is the same NYSC that's been criticized for not being able to protect a number of their youth corps members, people who will be traveling to different states and end up getting kidnapped. So
I'm being paid $3,000.
Do you understand that?
It's just really wild. Anyway.
And they've been promised. I mean, the minimum wage in the country legally is
70,000. But NYSC has said that they're increasing this to 77,000.
Have they gotten it?
That
No.
I'm not sure of.
Not yet.
NYC members will tell us. Youth Corps members, please tweet at us to let us know what the current state is. Have you been receiving your 77,000 and how consistently have you been receiving it? But just a quick update.
We have Youth Corps members amongst us. I feel
Benny.
anytime
My
I see
darling Benny. We should
I
ask Benny.
Well, it doesn't look like what is going through.
Benny does not need Youth Corps Alawi to survive. Benny doesn't look like someone that needs
No, it doesn't.
from NYC
Some
to
Youth Corps
survive.
members are some others,
But just to quickly touch on Rita, she also, beyond criticizing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, she talked about Lagos smelling, and they have dragged her to filth for that, such that she has come to apologize about it.
May I
Please
comment?
go ahead.
Yes, please.
You may.
To be honest, we must be honest. Lagos is smelling.
When they drag,
Fact.
they will drag you, Joe.
No, let's be honest.
I mean,
I think we need to stop trying to avert what is true. By the way, that's a post. She put up an apology yesterday. She eventually came out and made an apology statement. She put it in writing there. She said, but I could tell there was a difference in the atmosphere and quality of air here. If the way that I was put triggered your emotions and the love for your birth state, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to talk down on your
Why
birth
did you do
state and
this?
so
Because
on.
the so-called
Yes.
indigenes have gone on social media
Exactly.
to now start dragging her, and telling her
That's
she should go
right.
back to Cross River State and go and insult her own state. So,
But back to Lagos, let's be honest. And Lagos smelling, is not as a result of just the government. And I want to make it clear here. It is the Lagosians. I've had courses of shouting, even while driving to work. You find people who park on the streets. I have to honk my horn at them many times. They just bring out the dirt and fling it straight to the road. And I'm
just
like,
to mention that-
you can't do that.
in response to what you've said, by Lagosians, you're not necessarily meaning people that are indigenes of Lagos State. We're talking about
Yeah.
everybody who lives in Lagos has a
Everybody. We have a
collective
responsibility.
responsibility to keep Lagos clean.
But the major responsibility lies on the government. So to the governor, if you're watching, if you're listening, if you take decisive action, the funny thing, on Saturday let me tell you this, guys. If you dare me, please, as you watch this, go to Adeola Odeku. Walk Adeola Odeku from the beginning, where you have Koscharis, walk down to the end before you get to the Amaduvelo intersection. Take a look at the gutters, Olive. The gutters are filled to the brim. It's not raining yet, and they're filled with plastics, plates, smelling.
In all fairness, Lagos State government is trying,
Smelling.
on the one hand, to ensure that they can mitigate a lot of the craziness out there when it comes to hygiene. Even with plastic pollution, for example, is why certain supermarkets are now billing us over, giving us so much bills
you pay for
to
nylon,
reduce
for
our
bags,
plastic
carrier bags,
pollution.
and so on.
But individuals also have a role to play. If you are one of the people that when you are driving, you eat, you wind down, and you throw things out of the window, shame on you. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Do you remember the Marwa regime? Where there were bus drivers were told to put waste bin inside the buses. They will beg you, please don't throw anything outside.
At the end of the day, like you rightly said, Joe, it's the responsibility of government.
Yes.
And individuals have a role to play.
And then number two, when
leads.
people criticize government, these are taxpayers. You take their taxes, so they have a right to have a say in how the state is run. And I think it's very myopic to say they should go back to where they came from, or they should tell that to their states of origin. It's disingenuous. It's not the conversation we should be having. Face the issue, and then impose hefty fines, prison terms, make it a crime. Like in Singapore, we have megacities. One government official yesterday said as the influx of people coming from, look, Mexico City, Singapore, these St. Petersburg in Russia, Moscow, they're expanding.
I think I
sorry to butt in.
Yes.
I'm going to say this here so that it doesn't seem like we are going outside. Let's go back to the time of Governor Babajide. All right, okay, hold on. Let me reverse my statement. Let's go back to, let me see the simple one, to Fashola's time. Do you remember what happened to Lagos? If you're watching? In Lagos, during Fashola's time, first of all, he ensured that every refuse were cleared. I saw firsthand, since I was born in Lagos, women were driving their trucks. There was this arrangement, this partnership that took place where if you own a truck, I saw women in Ojo-Elegba, in Yaba, in Surulere, in Mushin. The ladies had their own businesses. They signed up with Lagos State. They were going, they would pick refuse. You would hardly find refuse on the streets of Lagos. Fashola, that's the former governor, also took time to ensure that he cleared destitutes. He cleared all the street urchins from especially areas where they were much and told them he doesn't want to see them. The same former governor of Lagos State ensured that if you live in Lagos, he gave a rule that you have to paint your houses and plant trees. Did it work? It worked to a certain degree. Lagos was at least serene. You could breathe fresh air. So while we're saying the government has work to do, the truth is, yes, the governor has to do his work.
It's not just entirely the governor. We have a commissioner of environment. We have a commissioner of environment. Tokunbo Wahab also has a responsibility.
But the governor has to sit with him now.
He has been speaking. He has been ensuring.
He's been doing a lot of.
Yes, he has been doing.
Yeah.
You know, I do think that the government has been doing, to an extent, they've been making some move in ensuring that they sanitize Lagos. But I think we also have a role to play. But finally, I think we also have to ensure that there are strong punitive measures for anybody who is tossing things out of the car, people who throw their trash, you know, without with reckless abandon. By the time you see proper discipline, people will know that, okay, if this person was dealt with terribly because they littered Lagos, they will not try this again.
And we also turned every street corner to a market. We need to do something about it.
When we are coming to work in the morning, we see people peeing and pooing.
They wash for more, they water, they flee it on the road. Why wouldn't it smell?
Let's go to River State.
Anyway, let's before we go to River State, I mean, let's also look at what the ranting has led to. It has led to Nigerians coming out on social media space, Olive. On X, there's this trend going on. If you take a look at it, hashtag
30-day rant
30 days rant challenge. And Nigerians are starting to bear their mind following what the NYC core member had started. They said they're going to do it for 30 days. The entire X is indeed filled with a lot of rants. People are ranting, shouting, and this will amaze. Let's take a look at some of the videos very quickly.
What we called on our leaders. President Tinubu, you are a terrible president. Your tenure is bad. We've never had it this worse in Nigeria. In the history of Nigeria, we never had it this worse. Forget say, I am a Yoruba man. Omo Yoruba ni me. This will not be saying na Igbo guy they contest, na complain. We are all complaining. We are suffering in this country. All of us are suffering. President Tinubu, you are a terrible president. You are the worst president we've ever had since the First Republic. You are the worst.
I know after this 30 days movement begins, the government will start sending the police, the soldier to go after people that made video about it, to arrest them, to intimidate them, to, you know. But let me tell you something as a police officer and as a soldier. My dad served this country for 25 years. Currently now, he's still sick. He's down with stroke and brain damage. Guess what? The police department donated 10,000 naira to my dad. He's been down for 1 year. This illness has made us sell property, has made us sell land and everything. The government has done nothing about this. We have gone to his office to cry, to beg, but still yet nothing is being done. So before you go after the youth that is looking for a good government, that is looking for things to work, remember, if things work for us, it works for everyone. Because you are a police officer, you will not buy a cup of rice for 100 naira. It's the same 400 and 500 that we are buying that you will buy too. Because you are a thug, you are not going to buy a cup of rice for 100 naira. No, it's the same 200, it's the same 400 and 800 that you will use to buy. So before you start carrying out this exercise, go and look at the widows of the police officer that have died due to the course of duties. Go and look at the widows of the soldiers that died due to the course of their duties. There is no royalty. NHIS is a scam.
Yeah, that video just made me really sad, because what she's highlighted is a reality of a number of Nigerians. And when the NSAS protest, for example, kicked off in 2020, and it did seem like there was a bit of a face-off between the Nigerian police and young people, this was what young people were saying to them, that, look, we're not just fighting for ourselves, we're fighting for you. We're fighting for you to get better pay, to have better living conditions, to ensure that you have pension, life insurance, so that if anything happens to you, your family is adequately taken care of. And in other countries, we see the way that the members of the armed forces are treated with respect. Like young children children look up to them and think, I want to be a police officer when I grow up. I want to be in the army. I want to serve my country, because there's a lot of pride. And you know that if anything happens to you, your country has your back.
Has your back.
It's just really sad.
It's very sad, especially for service personnel, people that have given their life's work to serve the country, just to be treated like this in retirement. I did talk about it a few weeks ago during Wake Up Nigeria conversation. Which way Nigeria? I talked about the pensioners. It's really heartbreaking, and everything she said there is the truth. How do you donate 10,000 naira to somebody that, donated? And I even saw on social media, somebody said we should do GoFundMe for our soldiers. That's the height of it. A country that can't look after the people that have served with their lives and have fallen in the line of duty. We really need to look in the mirror and search our souls.
Anyway, these are wake-up conversations everyone is having from midnight up until now, and these are conversations that will continue to get everyone talking. Anyway, that's all we're going to take this morning. By the way, it feels good to be back, and I think Benga didn't get the memo, Olive. It was a touch of blue or something.
Okay, I've just looked at Joe's outfit.
Benga, great
really
minds think alike, Olive.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, because they did it to me yesterday when he and
that's why I'm telling them.
Thank you very much for your support.
You will understand.
We'll head to River State, but not now. River State will be one of our top stories. It does seem like every day there is fire on the mountain in River State. But now let's share with you what the top stories we're going to be looking at this morning on Breakfast Central are. This morning on Breakfast Central, Rivers Assembly move to impeach Governor Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy, and the chief judge. Wahala, double wahala. Jandor returns to APC 2 weeks after exiting PDP, not surprising. And then still on the top stories, FCT minister approves revocation of 4,794 land titles. As it is hot for Abuja, it is hot for Rivers. Plateau government debunks executive order 003. We reviewed the newspaper front pages, opening the phone lines for you to call in. All these and more on Breakfast Central.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. The political turmoil in Rivers State escalated on Monday as 26 lawmakers of the State House of Assembly leveled accusations of gross misconduct against Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy, Ngozi Odu. In two separate letters addressed to Speaker Martin Zamewule and transmitted to the accused officials, the lawmakers cited Section 188 of the Nigerian Constitution, which mandates that such allegations be signed by at least 1/3 of the House members.
The lawmakers accused Fubara, among other things, of reckless and unconstitutional expenditure of public funds, hindering or obstructing the River State House of Assembly, which is another arm of the government, and the appointment of persons to occupy offices and positions in the River State government without allowing for the requirement of screening and confirmation. Speaker Zamewule formally forwarded the notices to the governor and his deputy requesting their responses. Now, joining us to discuss this development is the Publicity Secretary of the Rivers APC Caretaker Committee, Chibuike Ikenga. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm Substantive Publicity Secretary, please.
All right, Substantive Publicity Secretary. Thank you very much for clarifying that. We're also joined by the Commissioner for Environment in River State, Honorable Tambari Sydney Garba. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. All right, whilst we're connecting with Honorable Garba, thank you very much for, Honorable Bara, I beg your pardon. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on the show. I'll start with Mr. Ikenga. It's a number of things that have happened in River State, the most recent being the plot to impeach the governor, former governor of River State, His Excellency Nyesom Wike, the minister of the FCT, had said that if the governor is impeached, heaven will not fall. So let's get your thoughts on the potential of what this might mean should it play out.
Much for having me. Thank you, my brother, who is also your guest. Welcome to the program. The minister's response must be properly put in context. He was responding to the threats coming from non-governmental actors who ordinarily should sue for peace, but they took to threats of violence. And it was indeed in response to that the minister rebuffed those threats as non-existent, as things that will only end at the level of those threats as they had been captured. So it must be put in that context to be able to know exactly why he said so. And that he also did say, and I agree with him completely on this issue, that you cannot threaten people to abdicate their constitutional responsibilities. You can't threaten the governor, you can't threaten the House Assembly members, you can't also threaten the judiciary to abdicate their constitutional responsibility. I think it was on the basis of that he did say so. So I don't know whether that explains that.
Thank you very much. I'd like to bring in Honorable Tambari Sidney Barra into the conversation. Now, Honorable Barra, you are a member of the Rivers State Executive Council, and I'm sure you've seen this letter addressed to the from the Rivers State House of Assembly alleging gross misconduct on the part of your principal, the governor, and the deputy. What do you make of this impeachment notice, and do you think there are legitimate grounds for the State House of Assembly to institute these allegations against your principal? Are there legitimate grounds for gross misconduct?
Well, yeah, let me thank you for having me this morning. Well, the Assembly has clearly taken us back to the incident of 30th October 2023. Of course, we all know that there are no known allegations, or the governor had never acted in any way that they will now want to accuse him of gross misconduct in office. That is just not known at all.
Are they playing a script?
Yes, of course. Impeachment is their intention ab initio. We remember vividly well that the governor was just 3 months in office in October last 2023 when attempt was made to impeach him. And we all know that somebody who is just 3 months in office has barely settled down, talk less of having to have committed any impeachable offense. For all this long while, the presidential intervention, proclamation, all that litigations here and there, it was only a kind of a postponement of the doomsday. So this is their agenda ab initio. You can clearly see that implementation of the Supreme Court's ruling or order or judgment, they are frustrating it because this is exactly what they have in mind to do. This is the directive that they've been given by their, by whosoever that is remote controlling them. So it's actually a script that they are playing.
Who do you think is controlling them?
And they are adamant and making sure they take it to the letter.
All right, just to bring in Mr. Ikenga to the conversation as well, you've heard Honorable Barra saying that he thinks they are playing a script, and also emphasizing the frustration that the House of Assembly may have cost the governor in terms of him trying to execute the judgment of the Supreme Court. Let's revisit that conversation about why the governor has yet to represent the budget before the House, the moves that have been made, the most recent letter he's written, giving them notice to appear tomorrow, the 19th of March, and saying either the 19th or any other day they might deem fit. Why do you think that they seem to have been frustrating the efforts of the governor to represent the budget?
Thank you once again. I'd disagree with him completely on the use of the word frustrating the governor. You recall that this had, I don't want to bore you with the chronology of all these events. You already have details of all these developments. But let's face what is before us now. You recall that upon the decision of the Supreme Court that the Rivers State House Assembly felt the need that there was urgency in ensuring that the budget is passed to be able to forestall the seizure or withholding of the allocations, statutory allocations to Rivers State. So Rivers State government will be in a position to be able to attend to its responsibilities. They did that by taking the steps of informing the governor to present the budget within 48 hours. Assuming that considering that the governor found that too short a time. He should have reached out to them to say, look, gentlemen, I'm unable to meet up with the 48 hours. Let's give me like 7 days. I'll be able to do that. That's the way to go about things. But he didn't do so. But the government came up to say that they didn't see the letter and they didn't receive any letter. Meanwhile, you are also aware that the courier service that delivered it gave their own report that they went there. They saw the government officials. They made a phone call and somebody directed them not to receive the correspondence from the House Assembly. So you also heard the government now wrote to the Riverside House Assembly. I read that on the social media as well. And the Riverside House Assembly said they didn't receive. So you now see they have injured each other. They have lost confidence in each other. So over time, they no longer trust each other. Solutions, compromises, concessions to be able to come back as one. And that has not happened. So to say that they are frustrating the governor's presentation of the body is very unfortunate. Take note that before you go to the assembly, you must write them officially through the proper channels. Exchange of correspondences are known. They have those mediums through which they do that. You know, they have the media through which those things can be done. And you understand that if you don't do it through that way, some people will feel that, or some institutions will feel that you have undermined them. And that is what is going on. However, you know that the Supreme Court decision came with some indictment on the governor. Clearly that the governor has involved himself in infractions that are antithetical to his oath of office and oath of allegiance.
Can you mention some of these infractions?
So having said that, hello?
Can you mention some of these infractions that you say the governor has committed?
I said the Supreme Court said.
Yes.
So if you want me to mention, I'll go ahead and mention a few of them.
Go ahead, please.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I said that the Supreme Court judgment indicted the government, the executive, under Governor Siminalayi Fubara. One of them was that, first, that the governor and his executive did destroy the River State House of Assembly to untwist the River State House of Assembly building, to untwist the River State House of Assembly from doing their job, to stampede them, to ensure that they do not carry out their constitutionally provided responsibilities. You also heard, if you read the judgment, you also heard where the Supreme Court said that the way the governor and the executive had operated in River State, that there was a total absence of government. You also heard that the decision from the Supreme Court did say that the governor had been spending funds that were not appropriated. He did not submit budget to the properly recognized and legally supportive House Assembly. So these are infractions. Be that, to mention by but be that as they appear, these things could have easily been solved, even now that they have issued this notice informing the governor of the infractions, particularly what they construe as misconduct.
Honorable Barra, I'm so sorry I'll bring you in, but I just want to follow up on the answer that Honorable Ikenga has just given. What would you say are the remedies? What solutions you think is possible? Because it just seems like there's a dead end and both parties are unwilling to find a middle ground.
That's for me?
Yes, that's for you. You know, as a follow-up to the answer.
Yeah, I was saying that even now, after they have issued this notice, there still can be a resolution, which conciliation. Like I've always said, I said, politics is about compromises. What is going on in Rivers State is strictly speaking politics.
So what would be the compromise? What would be the options, the solutions, even now that there's an...
The solution is that the governor and those who are opposed to him must find a way to sit on a round table behind the scenes and make those proper compromises and concessions for reuniting of the states.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to bring in Honorable Sidney Barra back into the conversation. Now, Honorable Barra, we've seen the list of infractions on the back of the Supreme Court judgment. These are very serious allegations. Has there been any official communication from His Excellency Governor Fubara on the next line of action? And also, do you think we've crossed the Rubicon? Because this is the nuclear option. They want to go for the jugular. They want to have him removed. Is it too late to reach a compromise and, you know, perhaps find a middle ground, or it's you think they're going to go all the way?
For my own part, I think it lies on the assembly to, you know, demonstrate their interest on Rivers State and not maybe trying to propagate, you know, a selfish interest from anywhere, maybe from them or from whosoever that is directing them. The governor ab initio had expressed or have demonstrated willingness to, at every point in time, extend a hand of fellowship, you know, to the assembly for them to work together. Remember, the presidential proclamation had 9 points, all against the governor. In fact, it was one of the points that have been used against him today. They were all instructed to withdraw their cases from court. The governor did not only withdraw his own cases that he instituted, but he went ahead to withdraw representation in this very matter that has got into Supreme Court today. But what did they do? They didn't withdraw the case. They carried on with the case. This is one of the very clear indications to show you that the assembly have something sinister. They are not ready for peace. Now, fast forward back to the Supreme Court judgment. After the Supreme Court judgment, it has never happened in the history of Nigeria. Before I even talk about that, the governor has shown so much magnanimity to show that it does not start and end with presentation of budget. The governor had written to the assembly inviting them. My dear brother there talked about sitting at a round table. The governor had written to the assembly inviting them so that they can sit at a round table, because he has seen them as a people he was going to work with as from now onwards, at least for the remaining 2 years of his tenure. And so therefore they can come, let them come, so that they can sit down, talk about a lot of issues outside presentation of budget, which their enumeration, salaries, and whatever thing, accruement that were supposed to go to them, were brought top note in the agenda. But the assembly refused to honor this invitation. The governor also wrote to them that he was coming to present the budget. Never in the history of Nigeria have we heard that the assembly locked a sitting governor out at the gates of their complex or wherever they are sitting. They did that, and they never allowed the governor in to present the budget. The governor again wrote to them proposing tomorrow that he was going to represent the budget or any other date they deemed fit for him to come and present the budget, since budget is a problem. And what did we see? Adjournment sine die. So this clearly shows that this is a people that have made up their mind, you know, not to cooperate with the governor. Like in my local parlance, they say when you want to kill a small dog, you give it big names. That is exactly what we see the assembly is trying to do, looking for every means possible to carry out their evil acts. And so, talking about a reconciliation, sitting down, the governor had always reiterated this in several forums, that no price is too big for him to make for ensure that there is peace in Rivers State. He has reiterated that over and over again. So I don't know what else that he's supposed to do. He has, for me, he has extended the hand of fellowship. He has lent out the olive branch. It's left for the assembly to take advantage of it and say, okay, let us sheathe our sword, and for the sake and the progress of Rivers State, let us move forward at this point. So the governor has done everything manly possible to ensure that there is peace in Rivers State.
Thank you, Honorable.
He has, all these actions have made a brick wall from the assembly.
Thank you, Honorable Barra. I'd like to pose a final question to Mr. Ikenga. With all this political drama happening in Rivers State, what's the real cost for the ordinary people of Rivers State? Is it affecting governance and service delivery, or is it just all noise at the top for now?
Okay, thank you. Firstly, the impression given there by your guest is that the House of Assembly is an appendage to the executive. That's not right. And then he also gave an impression to say that things were normal. He's stating situations that happens between the executive and the legislature when there is normalcy. Under this circumstance, a lot of water have passed under the bridge, and they have become quote unquote enemies. Quote unquote enemies, and you don't expect those normal things to happen. You don't expect that the governor will write another institution through his secretary to government, who is an aide to the governor, to the governor. So these are some of these. You are talking about the governor have been very magnanimous. Let me say that they didn't need a meeting for the salaries and allowances owed for the salaries and allowances owed the House of Assembly to be paid. They didn't need a meeting. However, the Rivers people are the people who are worse for these challenges. We have said severally, we have spoken that development has been retarded, governance for this nearly 2 years, nothing had happened. We are in a situation where the state is in a halt. So we had asked that reconciliations, people should stop holding back on their entrenched positions. They have to make a way, you have to shift, make concessions, because it's politics. So this zero-sum game where winner takes all and loser loses all is part of the crisis. And it is high time we start down to look at concessions that will breed peace, because both the governor and the House of Assembly members were elected by the people, and they carry the mandates of the people, and they must work together to ensure that they deliver on the goods and services that the people yearn for.
It's just unfortunate that this feels like a repeated cycle, because the attempt to impeach the governor, this is not the first time. Remember, the former time was when we had the drama of the assembly quarters being demolished. You know, what even necessitated that first one, and how did we get to the point where it feels like politics has now trumped governance in Rivers State? But what we want is the peace of Rivers State and the progress of the people. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this morning on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, moving away from Rivers State, Dr. Abdul-Azeez Adediran, widely known as Jandor, a former governorship candidate of the PDP in Lagos, has officially moved to the All Progressives Congress. He made the announcement on Monday at a press briefing in Lagos following his recent resignation from the PDP, pointing out to persistent internal conflicts and a lack of order within the party as key factors behind his decision, particularly criticizing its failure to address disloyalty during the 2023 elections. Our story in the PDP was a case of working with perennial political saboteurs, but we have resolved to love our future much more than we hate our past, he stated.
To return to the All Progressive Congress APC. Before you are quick to remind me of the reasons upon which we left in the first place, let me respond with a popular Yoruba adage that says, if a woman has not tried two husbands, she probably would not know which is better. In APC, we have a leader. Even if you want to force his selection choices, you can't force his desire to always win for his party to the benefit of all members and their followers and the state. While in Lagos PDP, we have a leader that will at every election cycle work against his own party and willfully dash the hopes of many party members and followers. We have chosen the better alternative. Our journey in the People's Democratic Party, PDP, during the 2023 gubernatorial election and the election petition at the tribunal through the Supreme Court was driven by a sincere desire to win for PDP and serve the people of Lagos State. While we remain proud of the campaign we ran and the support we garnered, we believe that working within the fold of the APC offers a more viable platform to deliver on our promises of good governance for all Lagosians, even if I'm not the one on the ballot. Our return to the APC is not a decision made lightly. It is a reflection of our unwavering commitment to the progress of Lagos State and our belief that unity amongst progressives is essential to achieving the collective aspiration of our people. Let me tell you.
Joining us now is the spokesperson to Dr. Abdul-Azeez Adediran, popularly known as Jandor. We have Benga Ogunleye. Good morning and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Jandor has announced his move to the APC. I don't think it comes as a surprise to many because the predictions were already that he was going to move to the APC. Now, a number of the things he criticized was, of course, the fact that Bode George threw his support to another candidate openly at the last elections. Do you think that Jandor has the influence to gain the support of the APC in the coming elections?
Well, thank you very much. The reason for going to the APC is not just to be on the ballot and contest election in 2027. It is because, as of today, I've consulted widely across the country, meeting leaders of political parties and several platforms. Jandor and his team have come to realize that the All Progressive Congress, the APC, seems to be the only political party that is ready, prepared for the next election, ready, prepared to run the party for the purpose for which political party should exist. And that is why he has joined the APC. Of course, we know there are interests within the APC. There could be aspirants also warming up for the 2027 election in APC. What is important is coming together in the interest of Lagos State, coming together to ensure that the state of Lagos continue to perform better, improve on the welfare, security, and overall development of the people and the state. That is the focus for the moment. Yes, if the vision of governing Lagos State is still very much intact, and the Jandor will also be in the APC with the equal opportunity of his aspiration, but most especially with the collective interest of everyone.
Now, Mr. Ogunleye, your principal, Jandor, met with the President of Nigeria just last week in the presidential villa, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Could you share with us what transpired in that meeting, and was it influential in his decision to return to the APC fold?
Yes. Jandor met with Mr. President on the 10th of March 2025. And if you recall, he has also he met with all the leaders, met with former President Ibrahim Babangida, met with former head of state Abdul-Salami Abubakar, met with the presidential candidate of SDP in the 2023 elections, met with so many other national leaders regarding the consultation he talked about. His meeting with the president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is to share notes and see what could be done together. The same consultation with these other leaders. And of course, though it was a private meeting with the president, but there was a lot of understanding. There was a lot of mutual respect between Mr. President and Jandor. Mr. President acknowledged the contribution of Jandor to the polity, and as a young man, he so much commended him for his courage and for his readiness to support the development of the country. So, of course, I can say that the outcome of that meeting contributed to the decision that was taken yesterday for Dr. Adediran to finally, with his team, move into the APC.
Sometime last week, we had Dr. Pierce join us to talk about the PDP and all the drama that has gone on in the PDP. And we did ask him about his thoughts on Jandor. A number of things he said. He said that Jandor lied. Jandor over-presented himself to the PDP leaders, and that the PDP leaders, of course, did not do their due diligence. So Jandor over-exaggerated the influence that he was, going to wield at the elections. And then he also said things about Jandor going back on the agreement. For example, after getting the ticket, refusing to allow the party choose who will be his deputy. So many things he said about Jandor. I'd like you to respond to that. Are you there with us?
Okay,
All right. Unfortunately, there's been a network glitch. We're hoping that we can reconnect with him and then explore what the conversation is. So many things were said by Dr. Pierce in that video, basically to alluding to the fact that Jandor misrepresented himself or overestimated his influence to the PDP Board of Trustees, and he was brought in by the daughter of a respected founding member who unfortunately maybe did not do her own due diligence, and they took her word for it and took Jandor in. And after taking Jandor in, he, in a way, beat the fingers that fed him, because when he had gotten the ticket, he turned around on them.
Basically, just questioning the integrity of Dr. Adediran and his person, his integrity. And it would be nice to have Benga come back to, Mr. Ogunleye come back to share his thoughts on some of these allegations.
Right. All right, welcome back, Mr. Ogunleye. I don't know if you had a question before the network glitch, or if you'd like me to go over it again.
Yes, please. Can you please go ahead again?
Right,
I heard you say something about what Dr. Adediran said.
Yes, that's exactly what I asked. He basically made a number of references to the integrity of Jandor, overestimating the influence that he had brought to the table, and PDP not having done its due diligence, but taking his word for it, hook, line, and sinker. And at the end of the day, Jandor going back on the agreements and refusing to allow them select a deputy for him, which in a way then necessitated Bode George turning against him, so that Bode George's turning against him and maybe a number of the PDP officials turning against him wasn't because nothing happened, it was because Jandor caused it.
Oh, okay, thank you very much. I think the first thing to say is that what justification would a member of the board of trustee of a political party have to campaign against his party in the general election? You think about it. What justification on earth have you ever seen a member of board of trustees, the conscience of the party, the topmost echelon of the leadership of the party, come boldly to organize a press conference against his political party? Let us assume Jandor even committed infractions against the interest of Chibola Bode George and his friends. Does that also affect the entire 40 members, 40 candidates contesting for the House of Assembly? Do they also all committed the same offense against the party? No, let us look. Jandor has left PDP. We do not want to keep talking about PDP. But the truth is that as at the time Jandor got the ticket to contest the 2023 election on the platform of the PDP, PDP is in about 3 or 4 different factions. No, not faction to say, but different groups within the party. Chief Olabode George interest, Chief Ogunkalu interest, Dr. Adedeji Doherty interest, even the incumbent state executive of the party were not even with Chief Olabode George as at that time. So number one assignment that Jandor did when he came into the party in 2022 was to try to harmonize and bring all these interests together. None of the interests want him to relate with the other party. He has to make effort to bring everybody together. As at the time Jandor is to choose the deputy governor, all these interests are still not together. All of them want Jandor to pick a deputy governor from their own camp. So you see, it's in our past. It's in our past. We don't want to go into that. What is important now is that
because of the want of time, let's move ahead and talk about Jandor in the APC. He has moved to the APC. He's made his decision. He's likened it to a wife who was trying 2 husbands, so she knows which husband is better. I guess he's saying the APC is better. But during the last gubernatorial elections in Lagos, he did refer to the current governor of Lagos State as a lame duck governor that cannot take decisions on his own. He will take decisions from a godfather in Abuja. But this same Jandor has gone to consult with that godfather. What if he does contest for the governorship of Lagos State? I mean, if he becomes governor, will he not be the same lame duck governor he was referring to Babajide Sanwo-Olu as, taking orders from a godfather or a senior party official in Abuja?
Okay, thank you. You see, during the electioneering period, candidates of political party would definitely argue against one another, campaign, speak to their own core competencies, try to bring out the weaknesses or perceived weakness of the opponent. All these are within the realm of the election period. The moment the election is over,
So does it mean
the moment the
politicians say
process
things
is over,
they do not
competition is
mean?
over?
What does this say about
Hello?
the integrity of the person? Are you saying that politicians say things
No.
they don't mean, or we should not believe
No,
what
no,
they
no.
say during campaigns?
No. Get my point. It is not limited to politics. It is about presenting your strength to the public. Jandor meeting with His Excellency the President is to compare notes, and he has done that with other leaders. And I can tell you,
have been disconnected. The network is giving a bit of an issue, but thank you very much for joining us this morning. We have to wrap up the segment and head over to our newspapers, where we'll be joined by a public affairs analyst. But let's do a quick recap of the conversations and share as well with you what's coming up next. Rivers Assembly moved to impeach Governor Fubara, Deputy and Chief Judge. We were joined by two people from Rivers State to have conversations about this. And Jandor returning to APC 2 weeks after exiting PDP. We just concluded that conversation. Plateau government debunks Executive Order 003. Now let's share what's coming up next.
And coming up next in Breakfast Central, FCT Minister approves revocation of 4,794 land titles. We'll also bring you the front pages with Theophilus Katuba. Feel free to call in, and Olive will be telling us the biggest conversations on social media with what Nigerians are saying. Stay with us. Breakfast Central continues shortly.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Nigeria is hot with a lot of revelations in the news. Rivers State is hot. Just be like everywhere they are collecting. They are collecting the Rivers, they are collecting Abuja.
The weather is also hot, and they're heating up the polity.
Hey!
So
no better way to put it.
It's very hot in here.
It's getting hot in
Yes.
here. All right, let's move to the newspaper front pages. This morning, we're looking at our first paper, and the first paper we'll be exploring this morning is the Daily Trust newspaper. On the front page of the Daily Trust, El Rufai accuses Ubasani of siphoning local government funds to UK, South Africa. Says no local government receives 50 million naira per month. Provide evidence, Shehu Sani challenges ex-governor. Motorists pass night at CNG stations over inadequate dispensing points. Wahala.
Okay.
Experts urge expansion of filling centers. Government has no input in it, Presidential Committee says. Rivers Assembly notice of misconduct not addressed to Fubara. That is the government. Government is saying you are not talking to me, you are talking to yourself. Many injured houses burnt as crisis erupts in Plateau community. Really sad one there. Showore lawyers accompany core member summoned for criticizing Tinubu. That's all on the Daily Trust. Let's go to the next paper.
Now let's take a look at the Nigerian Tribune. Everyone seems to be talking about Rivers State, and rightly so. Rivers Assembly lists 19 sins, 19 infractions of Fubara, and they want a triple impeachment. The governor, deputy governor, and also the chief judge of the state. I don't think we've seen anything like this in Nigeria's recent political history. And also on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, order EFCC to retrieve my seized assets from buyers, ex-minister Desiani begs court. Okay. Oyo Ogbomosho Road, contractor moves to site. That's positive news there. And protest rocks Abuja over relocation of Benue Tribunal. We also have Tinubu appoints Bishop Kuka as Pro-Chancellor. Dangote begins construction of Itori Cement plant to build the largest port at Olokola. Narrates how Amosu pulled down plant at Itori twice, that's in Ogun State, as show Nigerians construction approvals for alleged demolished structures. Amosu replies him. FCT Minister revokes 4,794 land titles over non-payment of ground rent for over 40 years. And Nigeria inflation, positive news, according to the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics, fell to 23% in February, cooled off to about 23%, cited lower full price for this reduction in inflation.
All right, and now let's look at the Daily Independent. Naira stability, lower petrol price, cool inflation to 23.18% in February. At UN Summit, Diri makes case for Niger Delta coastal communities. Protest over moving Benue local government election tribunal to Abuja. SGF denies involvement in 10 billion naira fraud allegations as EFCC probes 8. Alleged fraud. Court adjourns Otudeko's case for settlement talks with EFCC orders. Rivers crisis. Tension as Assembly moves to impeach Governor Fubara and Deputy. Former Lagos PDP gubernatorial candidate Jandor returns to APC. El-Rufai blinded by ego, driven by untamed emotions, says APC. Beneficiaries of subsidies ganged up against Tinubu, says Bamdele. Let's start with Rivers crisis. Tension as Assembly moves to impeach Governor Fubara and his deputy. Of course, you knew I would ask you that.
Yes, it's very interesting. What is happening in River, we've foreseen it, and we knew that it's going to be a fight to the death. River has no culture of resolution of crisis until the most powerful wins, and that is going to be the trend. That trend has remained, and people are looking at River State from very political lenses. But if you look at the legality of the matter, the actions of the governor, because the governor is the leader, and he should have been more circumspect, not to, run into this net that he ran into.
Hindsight, yes.
Yes, he did not conduct himself with the future in mind. He thought that he was going to have his way, maybe judging from his predecessor, how Wike has run this, he thought he was capable of doing that.
How would he have conducted himself differently?
For me, he would have been able to ensure that he doesn't break the law. He does not do anything that can be regarded as 19 sins. It might be, all the 19, he might not be guilty, but we saw that he presented his budget to a 4-member house. We saw that he didn't pay the legislators for a year. We saw that he...
But there was a defection matter.
No, the defection matter does not mean... The court of law has not adjudicated. The point is, if they defer, there are processes. These people played the fast one on him. They announced defection, but they did not do what they should have done for the defection to be effective. So while he went to court, that was what was used to tell you that if you want to defect, you don't just announce a defection and become effective.
Waving a flag doesn't
absolutely doesn't qualify that. So you have to put something. So that process was used to reverse, to give them the judgment they got. You see, and then again, you saw the demolition of the House of Assembly, all of those things. They were too open. He's the governor. He's not a legislator. He's not one of the small players. So the buck stops on his table.
Now, they said the buck stops at his table, and we did speak to the spokesperson to the FCT minister and another close associate of the FCT minister last week. They said he knows what to do. He should go and beg those he offended. Do you think we've crossed the Rubicon? And is there still a chance for reconciliation?
There is always a chance. If you look at how the Southwest seems to resolve their issues, a lot of things happen behind the scene that you don't know about. Look at the Lagos State crisis, how such a crisis that could damage the state was put under control. What I'm saying, I'm not saying that Lagos is not devoid of, a lot of things that are untoward. I'm saying that the kind of attitude that we see in Rivers, there's a lot of gladiatory behavior. From history, I've never seen where any of the crises in that state were amicably resolved. So I'm looking at this matter. There's always a way. But unfortunately, those who are supposed to help in mediating have all taken sides.
Now, there are also angles, national security angles, economic implications to the country as a whole, and there's been comparisons. Yesterday, Asari Dokubo likened it in an interview to what happened in the West in the 1960s. One of our analysts also said it, the Operation Wetye. There's been threats to Nigeria's critical economic infrastructure, blowing up of oil pipelines. And the FCT minister said, who was born a militant? He dismissed those threats. Do you think we should take those threats seriously?
Yeah, we should. But Asari Dokubo is in a difficult place. He's so loyal to the president and somehow against the wicked. You can see that.
I don't even know if I can.
He's only making the statement without being sure of what to do now. Because at this point, he might just get a call from the president, and that will just quiet him down, because the president has already taken control of him.
So you're saying that Asari Dokubo is not a person of integrity?
Not at this point. Not in respect of Wike and Fubara's. His hands are tied.
Mm. Okay, I mean, so with this situation, I think what was the grand sin that Sim Fubara committed? Because this is not the first time. If you recall, a number of these infractions that they have listed now were all committed because they tried to impeach him the first time, and he was trying to outsmart them.
Yes, if they try to impeach you, you don't commit offenses as a leader in the process.
You should just let them impeach you.
You must find a way. But if you if you say the way to avoid being jailed by a court or by a police to bomb it, then that means that you have breaking more laws, you know, or as a detainee or an inmate of a prison, the best way to escape is to escape from the prison. Even if the prison is open for you and you run away, they expect you to report yourself back.
What's the bigger play in Rivers State?
The bigger play is that the Fubara will be removed.
Okay, I'll come back to ask
That's
you.
That's the bigger play that I see, except something happened to intervene.
And I'll come back to ask you why you think that's
the president.
Okay, let's have Elder David. Good morning. Thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Hello, good morning.
Elder David, please go ahead. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma.
Good morning, sir. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. What is happening in Rivers State is very unfortunate. But the rule of law has to be followed. Please, when we are discussing, we should not compare the Rivers State issue with the old Western region. We know what happened at that time. When Obasanjo just declared state of emergency in Plateau, the word does not fall. When declared in day 4, when Alamesa was accorded day 4, what happened in Rivers State? This man has violated the constitution. Except it's removed, there will be no peace in that place. Those who are facing the government, they are just doing themselves. And people using them, they are sitting abroad spending dollars. And those boys want to be used. So that is the issue there. Let them follow the law, because 3 people cannot be more important than 27 people. And this man went to National State Assembly, destroyed the place because of differences between them within 6 months in government. And even went to the court and could have destroyed the quarter of the State of Assembly members. What are we talking about? Let us see the facts. If violate the constitution, let him follow the.
Thank you very much, Elder David, for sharing your thoughts with us. I'm coming back to what's the bigger play here. You're saying that Siminalayi Fubara will be removed. Now, there are those who already are starting to say that the bigger picture might be because there's an interest in Rivers State. We know the role that Rivers State played in the last elections, and that there's an interest in Rivers State and the leadership of Rivers State. Now, if Sim is removed, if his deputy is removed, who becomes the governor? Automatically, the speaker becomes the governor, right? So, for a short period of time. So, do you think that that's actually what the picture is, to control Rivers State for the next election? I
mentioned this to you before, that what is Wike's claim to fame? Is his contribution in Rivers. He is currently the minister of the FCT because of his contribution to this government and his seeming betrayal of the PDP. You want him to lose his foundation of claim, the foundation that gave him what he has. So he is fighting for his own survival to ensure that he has something to contribute in 2027. And the president is very strategic as well. He needs that state because the state helped him to power himself into power. So you can see that it's a very tough game that Fubara is playing. And the president was clear when he met the Ijaw leaders. For the first time, he just said, go and implement the law.
Now, you talked about the president before we took that call, that, you know, they need to reach out. But let's take this.
Let's go to the states. We have a caller from Port Harcourt. Good morning, Daniel. Please go ahead with your comment.
Good morning. A good job you guys are doing. My name is Daniel Momo from Port Harcourt. Yes, the things going on in Port Harcourt is quite unfortunate. I mean, in River State, it's quite unfortunate. And it is a power play. Not because Fubara has committed anything. It is purely because Fubara refuses to surrender. And you see, history has taught us things like this don't end well. And they should act anywhere. You see, at the end of the day, the court will decide what truly is gross misconduct. Let's take a step backward and remember what happened in Edo State and say that Shuaibu was removed based on some allegation. The court clearly stated these are not gross misconduct that you can remove an elected person. This guy came back even before the tenure ended. Shuaibu came back. The truth is that the cases were in court. What did you He sent that budget to the Martins and Megule's faction. Then he agrees with the judgment. If I disagree with the judgment, I go to a higher court. They went up to the point of the Supreme Court. And then the Supreme Court in itself awarded a cost of 5 million against the governor. And the governor has paid that money. And he said the instruction from the Supreme Court was that go back and present the budget to Amewule. And then you see all of this drama. But we would say that impeachment doesn't end, start and end with the House of Assembly. They still needed to go to the Chief Judge to have to set the committee. And that is on the discretion of the Chief Judge, not on the discretion of the River State House of Assembly. And I think that at a point, we must have adults in the room to be able to tell themselves that Rivers is bigger than anybody.
But just to quickly ask, Daniel, what is the pulse of the people in River State, the general populace? Would you say they are leaning more in support of an impeachment or they are leaning in support of Fubara?
No, it is anger, it is frustration, it is the fact that you take people for granted for too long.
Anger and frustration at who? Governor Fubara or who?
No, you see, to the people of River State, you see, the truth is people are watching.
Okay.
They are frustrated at the actions of the River State House of Assembly.
All right. So the anger is at the House of Assembly, the River State House of Assembly.
You were the one who gave 48 hours rather.
All right.
That
we unfortunately have to interject now. Thank you so much, Daniel, for calling and sharing your thoughts. So he's saying that the general sense is that there is an anger at the River State House of Assembly.
You know, when you say that, means they are angry at nobody. Because they should be angry at the two gladiators, not the River State House of Assembly that is actually playing the script of one of the parties. Let us not, you see, the River State has been a very difficult state politically, and managing their affairs have been very difficult for them. And it is telling on the state's development. Such a state that's supposed to be, you know, a darling of this country, and we have in this. But don't forget, all this idea of the chief, you can see the chief judge is added to the to be impeached, and you are talking of chief. You see, he's relying on what they don't have. You don't have the chief judge. He can't preside over this matter. He's already be part of those to be impeached, and he's the one that will determine his own case. So he's going to be set aside.
What are the crimes of the chief judge?
No, he's already disappointed. No, because there were times that he took decision in respect of the local government election that they've believed that was against the Supreme Court judgment. Right. That the election cannot be conducted until the INEC submits a proper register. So because this and all the judgment that he has passed so far, they believe that
he's manipulated by
man of the government.
When I asked you the question about resolving this crisis, have we crossed the Rubicon, and is there still time for reconciliation? You mentioned Mr. President's name, but is the president not a biased party?
That is why I'm saying it's not Fubara that will speak to the president, because the president feel and continue to feel slighted that haven't agreed. Fubara should have been seen to even implement 1, 2, 3 of the agreement, even if they are, because Sim himself said, I agreed because of the precedent, but they were not implemented.
He withdrew his case.
Yeah, he took, not withdrew, but a lot of other agreed areas. You know, because River State, from the onset, you say, okay, Sim has won, Wike is godfather, why is he trying to control him? What they agreed behind the scene, if you see it, you will be sorry. you will not be very proud of what the arrangement is. Rivers State is an arrangement. It is that arrangement they are fighting over, not about the interest of the people.
Also complained against Rotimi Amechi, saying he's trying to be
That is, he defeated him. I made Rotimi Amechi what he is today. It's about defeat. Rivers don't resolve their issues.
Okay.
I will have to defeat you and crush you. That's the way they have been fighting.
Let's go back to the South.
Yes.
We have Akin calling from Sapele. Good morning, Akin. Please go ahead with your comment.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Because I'm not trying to listen to you people. The thing is that right from the start, we helped Fubara. And within 3 months, we started fighting the man that helped him. That one is also wrong. Let's call it spade a spade. It's wrong. Somebody that helped you, within 3 months, not even 1 year, you start fighting the person. The person uses his own money to sponsor you. Right? Buy ticket for you, do every other thing for you. You can't even win the councillor in your community.
Him in the first 3 months. What were the actions that he did that says to you that he was fighting him?
The structure of Wiki is the structure that they use to make sure the man comes in as a governor. So that structure, you want to destroy it. The man will not allow you. It's wrong. Right? Then even after the Supreme Court decided, it said it's waiting for the statement or the written note from Supreme Court. Everybody know what happened that day. Why don't you take a decision, call the people and even go to their house or even visit them and make friends with them?
All right.
You know, so that they can settle this thing and make it late. Or you go to some other area, you know, talk to them, let them call them, and speak to them so that they can settle this issue. You start going around and around and around. You need to go to parties and you need to make certain statements that you're not supposed to make. And you're even saying that everybody should stand by, that the heaven will fall if they don't do what you want. It's wrong. It's
all right.
Wrong.
Akin, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.
Supporting him, I don't know.
All right.
You don't support bad things. It's wrong.
Thank you very much, Akin, for sharing your thoughts. So he's saying that, and I see you agreeing with him, that he should not have fought near weekend.
It's even too early. Yes.
But the thing is, it always, like, it stresses me every time I hear he was trying to destroy his political structure.
Yes.
What is this political structure?
The structure of the political structure are the men and women in key positions to ensure a return of victory at the next election. When you put them in place, they are the whole strategic position and they determine, first of all, they control resource, they control flow of benefits, and that is structure from the top to the bottom. So he put them in place so that tomorrow, that's why I'm saying that you want to remove Wiki and the structure that you came with, you must take time to also build. How is it that out of 27 men of Wiki up till today, he has not been able to have 12 of them or 3 or 5? Why are they solid? Even in their period of wilderness, they still remain solid.
I get what you are saying.
Yeah,
so in the sense of he who comes to equity must come with clean hands.
You don't just allow them
Sim
to
is trying to
flow.
destroy the system that brought him
That
in.
is it.
But how long are we going to continue this cycle?
For as long as we continue to come to power through secret agreements
and
godfatherism, we will have this continuously. Unless you wrestle power from the establishment,
so what's the
independently.
What's
in
the
this
point
country,
of going to the polls?
our electorate are the sellout. It is not about the Nigerian electorate seem to pander in a direction all the time because, you know, we have the idea of our leaders said we should go this way. We must make our electorate independent minded to the extent that when you poll, the poll will reflect the thoughts and minds of the people.
Maybe we're culturally skewed that way. If you look at religious leaders, monarchs,
we have different ways of both traditionally, culturally, socially, ethnically, we all face one direction. And apart from that, people want to be paid to vote. The voter internationally put his money where his support is, so that the person, the candidate, become independent of some controls.
So your prediction is how this is going to end is that Fubara will be impeached?
Yes. Ultimately.
And heavens will not fall.
And if he doesn't, a state of emergency will be declared because of the resultant crisis that will come. Don't forget, Tantita is an Ijaw man who controls the pipeline and has a contract. So it's going to be a very tough game. I'm saying if Fubara he will continue to fight, struggle, but when there a snowball of crisis, then you will see other things will begin to
So
play
you
out.
also agree that this is also an ego thing at play?
Very Wike would rather, I just don't want to say this on TV, he is somebody that historically, I study all his conflict with people, he never gives up until the death. That's
Fight
the
to
kind
the
of man.
finish.
That was why Fayose told him, the day of handover, don't fight this man. He was speaking to him
That he
directly.
doesn't forgive.
The reason I don't fight him, because unless you can destroy him, don't go into the conflict.
So battle to the finish.
River State, it's like we're not quite near the
Never-ending
end
story.
of this drama.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Steve, for
Thank you
coming
very
on
much.
joining us.
All right, nice.
These are the front pages of the newspapers. We're still going to be talking about River State, but this time around from the eyes of your tweets on X. Stay with us. It just feels like every day we come here, there's a new development in River State. And the latest development is the possibility of an impeachment looming for Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Now, the letters have been circulating on social media, dated the 14th of March, stating, of course, the many infractions from not paying assembly legislators the allowances due, presenting a budget to a poorly constituted assembly, demolishing the assembly complex. Man, I remember that time when he demolished the complex, and they said it was because of the integrity of the complex. And people were saying, if it's integrity of the complex, people had enough time to bring out the ACs and everything. Why did you do it rush? But you see, this journey to impeach Governor Siminalayi Fubara, no be today. It's been a while that this journey has started. And from the first time that this came up, it's like he's been maneuvering ways and curves to just find a way to have the upper hand. But it feels like when he goes 2 steps forward, he's 1 step back. And like Wike says, now it's 2-0 for him. What the next steps are, we don't know. We're not quite sure. But what we're certain about is that governance in River State has taken a backseat because the 2 big wigs are at the forefront of deciding who comes out winner. The speculations, again, have been that Ngozi Odu, in a way, is standing as a principality in River State to ensure that he controls power. So if they impeach Governor Sim Fubara and they impeach his deputy, who becomes the governor of River State? Are you seeing where we are going with this? Anyway, Nigerians have started to react to the possibility of an impeachment. We've seen Asari Dokubo, who has threatened, even though Governor Nyesom Wike in his media parley has said that heavens will not fall, that the militants who are threatening to bomb the pipelines, they cannot do anything. Heaven will not fall if Sim Fubara is impeached. But we've seen responses to that, the likes of Asari Dokubo, who have shown their support, standing firmly behind the governor, criticizing the actions of the FCT minister, and stating, of course, that he does not support the judgment of the Supreme Court. He's, of course, casted aspersions as to the integrity of the Supreme Court in its judgment. Nigerians are reacting to this, so we're going to head to X to see what Nigerians are saying about this. Honorable One says Fubara cannot be impeached, as doing so would involve the Rivers State Chief Judge participating in an undemocratic process. I pray detail. How? Furthermore, it would indicate that President Tinubu has an agenda to remove a democratically elected governor. We are observing the situation closely. So there's actually a procedure for removing a governor in River State. If you check section 188 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you will see this, the procedure for removing the sitting governor, from filing the complaint against him, getting the chief judge involved, the chief judge setting a panel. There is actually a process. So I don't quite understand what the tweet is about, but let's go to our next tweet. The next tweet is from Upele Alama, says, it's not about Wiki. The question is, has Fubara committed impeachable offenses or not? We don't need to keep quiet just because we don't like Wiki. The man demolished the House of Assembly, ran the state with 3 members, spent from state coffers without appropriation. Is this illegal or not? You tell us. Let's move away from this tweet to our next one. This one says, the day Fubara went against that peace accord was the beginning of his downfall. Inside government, another government day. That is, inside that your avian, another avian day inside. Wike is just the captain of the team, but the manager that dictates the flow of the game was the man Fubara rubbished his agreement. I'm not quite sure where he's driving at, but it looks here, or it looks like he's inferring that is the president that is behind this, because he says Wike is just the captain of the team, but the manager that dictates the flow of the game was the man Fubara rubbished his agreement. And the person who, of course, orchestrated the peace accord was President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, inviting the warring factions, getting them to sort of provide a political solution to the problem in Rivers State. Unfortunately, the political solution, which is a peace accord, didn't work out. But moving away from this tweet, let's see what the next tweet says. Jimmy Gentle says, Fubara and Wike collaborated to steal and mess up Peter Obi's votes. Good that they are fighting themselves now. But whatever happens to either of them is not my business. Impeach Fubara or not, I don't care. All the evil collaborators against Nigeria will never have peace. Jimmy, you are not so gentle with this, your tweet. This sort of reminds me of what our guest said earlier when he said that Fubara coming into office and trying to fight the hand that brought him in, you know, it wasn't basically a smart move. Basically, he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. If you're trying to fight the system, you benefited from the system, so how well does that really work? But moving away from Jimmy Gentle, our next tweet from Novi Everest says, Sim Fubara lost because he kept applying the brakes. The devil does not. Who is the devil? And what brakes are we talking about? A number of people have alluded to the fact that Sim Fubara, if he wants to play with the devil, needs to play dirty, right? And that he needs to be able to play the game of politics. Some people have called him very soft, that he hasn't been able to fight as crazily as he needs to fight to be able to win this battle. But let's move away from here to our next tweet. Tammy Halliday said, Sim Fubara must go. Deputy Governor must go. Chief Judge must go. Only Martins Amewule-led assembly is good to continue amongst the 3 arms. All for what? To enthrone Wike as emperor of the state. That thing official Bat is looking for in Rivers State was so mature. No be me talking. It's Tammy Halliday that said it. John Google so mature. I think we have another tweet, and let's see what the next tweet says regarding this. It says, well, heaven will not fall. Impeachment is a constitutional process. Let's ensure the Assembly and Martin Amewule follows it and not skip any step. To impeach a governor, I believe, is not as easy as we think it seems. The Apex Court said Governor Fubara has exhibited executive rascality, and this is from Wisdom Chap Jumbo. So we've seen a number of the reactions to this, and these are what Nigerians are saying. I think my most interesting tweet, however, will be the tweet before this, the one by Tammy Halliday, where she said, everybody must go. All for what? To enthrone Wike as emperor of the state. The emperor, the conqueror, the champion. Anyway, I wasn't understanding that. But Benga, you've seen what Nigerians are saying about this. Let's get what your thoughts are regarding this tweet as well.
One of the things that stood out for me in this, what Nigerians is saying, it's the invocation of, celestial names, heavens will not fall, the devil does not press the brake, and all of that is becoming so spiritual. But one of the takeaways is that, the devil doesn't press the brakes. And Mr. Katuba, I guess, did say during the newspaper review that you should try and, if you're fighting someone, you either fight to the finish or you stay on the, the holy, the narrow,
the straight and the narrow,
straight and the narrow path. Because if you can't fight that person physically, you just hand it over to the Lord. Because Olive, who can battle with the Lord?
Nobody. I say nobody. But
so
then,
interesting takes there.
Just to say, in summary, it's been a battle of Sim versus Wike. River State people, where do they fall in all of this? And I hope that people can see that regardless of what side of the divide you're on, the governance in River State is what is important. Has River State had actual government?
The back seat.
Right? Have they had an actual government in the past 2 years, really? Have they had that?
And that's the most important conversation we should be having.
Well, the next few days, I'm sure that by the time we come back tomorrow, there'll be another development regarding Rivers State, and we'll be able to bring that up. But will he be impeached? Will he not be impeached? He's tried to represent the budget. Remember that the last letter that we heard from the governor of Rivers State was written to the House of Assembly. And in that letter, he stated that he wants to represent the budget to them after the failed previous attempts on Wednesday, the 19th of March, I beg your pardon, which is tomorrow, or any other day they may deem fit. Unfortunately, House of Assembly has adjourned indefinitely. So what will happen?
They adjourned indefinitely, but they had time to send a list of
I was thinking about that.
Yes.
Well, in response to that, or in defense to that, Nelson Wike said that because they demolished the assembly complex, where they are living is where they are sitting, so they can just call everybody, hi guys, inside the WhatsApp group, for breakfast this morning, let's just quickly sit and write this letter, everybody quickly approve, and then let's get it out there.
What should be priority for the governor now? Do you still try to present the budget, or you fight for your survival by responding to the notice of impeachment? I mean, he's in a very tight situation.
He really is in a tight position. It feels like he's between the devil and the deep sea. And no matter what he does now, I don't know if anything will be good enough. I think from what it looks like, there's an expectation for the governor to grovel, to beg, to come back and bite his words, because it felt like he was extremely overconfident.
Even that, begging also has a window. It might expire. Yeah.
Anyway, that's the update we have for you in Rivers State. If you're from Rivers State, share with us your thoughts about what is happening and what is the general sense of people in Rivers State. Do you think that they're leaning in favor of this man or the other man? And what do you think the bigger picture is, at play here? Let us know your tweets at News Central TV. Your thoughts count, and this is what Nigerians are saying.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has revoked 4,794 land titles belonging to citizens owing the administration ground rent for between 10 to 43 years. This was made known by the Senior Special Assistant in Public Communications and Social Media, Lere Olayinka, and the Federal Capital Territory Administration Director of Lands, Chijoke Onwakweze. They say the titles revoked form part of over 8 billion naira being owed to the FCTA by land allottees from the 10 oldest districts of the Federal Capital City and forms the first phase of the FCTA's revocation exercise. They also urged title holders of lands owing the administration ground rent between 1 to 10 years to effect their payment within the next 21 days or face similar fate.
The Federal Capital Territory Minister, Nyesom Wike, has approved revocation of 4,794 land titles over non-payment of ground rent for more than 40 years. In the central area, Gariki 1 and 2, Wuse 1 and 2, Asokoro, Maitama, and Gusape, a total of 8,375 property owners have not paid ground rent in the last 43 years. As of today, a total of 6,967,980,119 is owed as ground rent by 8,375 property owners in the FCT.
Those that have defaulted in paying ground rents on their properties for 10 years and above, that their titles have been revoked. And I want to point out that for now, the revocation is not affecting every title holder in the FCT. The approach is to take it phase by phase and category by category. Those who are in default of between 1 year and 10 years, or 9 years and 11 months and 29 days.
So there you have it. If you haven't paid your ground rent, please do so to the FCTA, or you have your allotment revoked by the FCTA authorities. And okay, I guess we've come to the end of today's show.
Yes, we have.
And energetic and interesting show full of battles and intrigues. Who can battle with the law?
I say nobody. We'll be back again tomorrow. Thank you for joining us. I'm Olive MOD.
And I'm Benga Borough. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.